What if an entire civilization didn't just disappear, but left behind a message for a time they would never see? Not a warning of destruction, but a marker, a point in time they knew was coming. We've already looked at places where history doesn't behave the way it should, where planes vanish without explanation, entire civilizations disappear beneath the ocean. Even the continents themselves were once something completely different. Each one raises the same question: is history incomplete, or has something been left out? But what if the biggest clue was never hidden at all? Long before modern technology, long before satellites, clocks, or digital systems, the Maya were measuring time, not roughly, not symbolically, but precisely. They built massive cities across Central America, stone pyramids aligned with the sky, structures designed with astronomical accuracy. They tracked the movements of the sun, the moon, and even planets like Venus with a level of precision that still surprises researchers today. This wasn't guesswork, this was calculation. And then something happened. Major cities were abandoned, temples left behind, entire regions slowly emptied. Not wiped out in a single event, but something changed enough that the civilization never returned to what it was. The people didn't just completely vanish, but the world they built did. But the most important thing the Maya left behind wasn't their cities, it was their understanding of time. They didn't see time as a straight line. They saw it as cycles, repeating patterns, large spans of time that began and ended and began again. And they created a system to track those cycles. And one of those cycles had a very specific endpoint. The Maya used what was known as long count calendar, a system that tracked time across thousands of years. According to that system, a major cycle ended on the date that would later capture the world's attention, December 1st, 2012. For years, that date was surrounded by speculation, end of the world predictions, global panic, and mass misunderstanding. But that's not what the Maya actually said. They didn't describe an ending of everything. They described the completion of a cycle. Somewhere along the way, the idea of a cycle ending was turned into something else, a catastrophic event, a final moment. But to the Maya, the end of a cycle wasn't destruction, it was transition, the reset of a system, the beginning of something new. Now step back for a second. Look at the world before that point, and the world after. During the late 90s and the early 2000s, things felt different, more grounded, more stable, more real. Then something shifted. Technology accelerated. The internet became everything. Reality moved into screens. Information multiplied, but clarity didn't. Truth became harder to define. Perspectives fractured. Everything sped up. But the world didn't end in 2012. It just doesn't feel like the same world anymore. So what if the Maya weren't predicting destruction, but awareness? Not the end of the world, but the end of a certain way of understanding it. A shift into a new phase of human experience, where perception changes, where reality becomes less stable, where the lines between real and artificial begin to blur. A new cycle. Not better, not worse, just different. But if time moves in cycles, then this raises a bigger question. What came before this one? Because across different cultures, different traditions, and different parts of the world. There are stories of a time before the one we know now, a time described as stable, ordered, peaceful, almost like a completely different version of reality. Not chaos, not confusion, something else. Maybe the Maya didn't just mark an end of a cycle. Maybe they marked the moment we entered a new one. And if that's true, then the question isn't what happened in 2012. The real question is what existed before it, and why does it feel like we're not supposed to remember it? What if these weren't just random periods of history, but structured phases, measured, repeating, predictable? What if each cycle lasted longer than a lifetime, longer than a generation? What if each cycle lasted 1,000 years? Think about it. Entire eras of history, rising and falling, civilizations building and disappearing, knowledge appearing then being lost, over and over again. Not chaos, but pattern. A cycle of stability, followed by a cycle of confusion, clarity, followed by distortion, truth, followed by something that feels just close enough to it to replace it. So what if 2012 wasn't just the end of a cycle? What if it was the end of the 1,000 years of peace? Because if you look at the world now, it doesn't feel like a continuation. It feels like a shift, a different kind of world where information is everywhere, but certainty is nowhere, where truth is hard to find and easier to replace, where reality itself feels unstable. Maybe the Maya didn't just track time. Maybe they understood it, not as a straight line, but as a cycle. And if one of those cycles ended in 2012, then this isn't just the modern world. This is the next phase, the next cycle. And we call this the age of deception. What do you think really happened in 2012? Let us know in the comments.